Right, hello. I am here with the amazing Sarah Burrell, and she is going to tell us about her story. She is an inclusion consultant and does some amazing work within the disability space. Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Cheers.
I'm looking forward to having a conversation, just
Fantastic. Cool.
knowing more about your story. So yeah, do you want to tell us about who you are, what your company is?
So, thank you. So I run an inclusion consultancy. I offer strategic consultancy and training in areas where people might need it. For example, I train in unconscious bias, but link it to strategy to make it useful. But also, obviously, I am disabled, and I am able to do disability training, awareness and inclusion, and I also offer mental health training too. Long story short, if you like, I have a disability. I had 2 strokes when I was younger. I was 3.5, and these strokes unfortunately completely paralysed me, which kind of sucked a bit. But I obviously regained function quite a lot. I had to communicate through my left toe for a while. That's the only way I could communicate, which was interesting, as you can imagine, as a child. But obviously I was very young at the time, and that's actually really helpful because it meant that the wires were able to rejig quite a lot, quite easily, and I'm left with right-sided hemiplegia, which means I can't control my right side of my body, and my speech impairment. Obviously, my speech was completely white, or from the motor control part of my speech was completely white, and so I had to relearn how to speak. Also relearn how to walk, how to then do stuff, which was fun, I guess, as a child. But that's really impacted my life, obviously. Luckily, I retained my capacities in that I was able to attend mainstream education with assistance a little bit, but mainly just for physical reasons, with accessible guidance and help. And that kind of fed into an interest in the inclusion world, I guess, with going out of university and trying to find a job. I thought it'd be easy, wasn't. Took a while, but even when I got into my first few jobs of my life, I recognised the hurdles for a person with disabilities are very different for those who are without. And I think any diverse hurdles are difficult to navigate, and it just, especially having a speech impairment, was a huge barrier for me with confidence. I mean, we've met a few times again. According to you, I'm probably sort of quite gregarious and out there.
Yes.
It's quite hard to miss me, I guess. But I'm probably naturally confident, but the speech impairment does actually impact that quite a bit. But I kind of prefer, I love a chat, so that overrides my, more often than not, that will override my concern about my voice and my disability. And that actually led me into observing the ways in which workplaces are a bit, are very unprepared for disability, and they can do everything they're supposed to do for the book, but actually if they're uncomfortable with it all, and a lot of places still are, you know, we're uncomfortable around disability, it's very hard to build up rapport, build up a career, build up, you know, go up to the ranks if we're not receiving the same opportunities as others, and perhaps no fault of their own, they're being biased or something, or the options in which you might carry out something maybe different to another person. But if a company is, for example, kind of a one-trick pony and don't have a diverse range of ways to contribute or ways to add value, you won't get that value, unfortunately. So that really highlighted to me, working in various sectors, public sector, private sector, even though people can be on paper up to scratch with kind of equality legislation, they often don't really have a culture that supports that, and that's where my role kind of kicked in a bit, and to ensure that companies and organisations do have that culture, and not just for disability, but for so many diverse strands, from race to, you know, unseen difficulties, unseen hidden kind of hidden disabilities, like which are not entirely obvious. To provide the support needed, you need to know a lot of information. To get that information, you need to have an open conversation, and that's where often the hurdle is having that open conversation, being comfortable and in asking open questions about well-being, about options, about giving people a space to raise concerns, you know, giving them a space to raise matters where, you know, what if we do like this, and to enable that discourse to happen, not just once but throughout you know, person's employment, to enable everyone to kind of, when you don't start at the same place, you gotta have some leeway, and that's where the important understanding comes in. I think proactive engagement, and knowing that meritocracy can't work if we have a system that we do, because actually what has become apparent recently is BLM, Black Lives Matter, and everything like that, is the race doesn't, the starting line is not equal. We do not start from the same place. And so in that world, meritocracy cannot work. In order for meritocracy to work, we have to start at the same place. And so to boost people's opportunity, to boost people's confidence and worth, which is surrounding ability. It's a huge part of being successful and driven, is people saying, yeah, you can do this, yeah, you shoot for your stars, and having things way down on certain elements. Of course it's not equal. Of course you're not going to see equal growth if you don't have an equal playing field. And so the culture of organisation matters. I've been talking by myself for a while.
No, it's fine. I'm just enjoying just listening. I think is amazing that you're such an inspiration. I know, like, so I work with like quite a few parents, and a lot of parents get this concern of, oh, my child is being given this diagnosis, or my child, they just get these worries that will they be able to achieve things, and you've gone and achieved so much. Like, what's helped you with that?
I think because I'm quite vocal about my concerns, and actually always have been quite vocal about that. Never shut up, but I mean, my mum unfortunately died when I was 6, so my dad raised me and my brother, commendable to him, of course, and so having a single parent, a bereaved single parent, this was a lot of pressure, not pressure, but a lot on my dad to get me where I need to go. And I think I'm quite helpful in that I know quite a lot of what I wanted and what needed to happen for that to happen. And I wouldn't take no for an answer, if you know what I mean. And that's important, because I'm in my 30s now, so this is way back when, 20 years ago now, the challenges were different, and mainstream education was not always on the cards for me, and luckily, as I said, my IQ was not affected, and my kind of cognitive abilities are quite high, and so I wasn't happy with the notion of going to a specialist school, because I recognised what I wanted out of my education. And so that put the school, my dad, into a kind of spin of, okay, we have to tackle this and get these measures in place in order for Sarah to attend mainstream. And so, but being involved from day one, being asked what I wanted, or telling people what I expected from them as a nine-year-old, unexpected, but it's happened, And my dad was quite keen on getting me in, because he knew that I knew what I wanted to, and he was very much making me a part of conversation, which I think is very important. No matter what, what the issue is, bring in, first and foremost, the person whose life is going to be affected by it, and ask open questions, because you'll find out so much more by asking open questions and receiving lots of things. And that's really, one of the first things that I say to anyone is ask open questions, because assumptions are where we fall down, and making the smallest assumption can lead to chaos and trauma, and that's not good. And so And I used to actually run parent workshops for teen or for transition age children, young adults, really, 16 to 24-year-olds, as part of a charity a while back when I worked for charity before I went out on my own and became my own boss. And that was surrounding a range of disabilities, including physical and cognitive and social disabilities and difficulties, and parents so scared to open up the world to their child, their young person, and I would get questions with the young person standing right next to them from the mouths of the parents, saying, "Oh, I'm really not sure how she will handle university or how she will handle being out there on her own." And I would always turn to the young person and say, "Well, what do you think about this then? What do you want out of this?" And they would more often say, like, "Well, I have to give it a shot, in order for growth to happen. Sometimes you have to bite the bullet and just do it." And I understand, and particularly growing up with my dad, very protective parent of me, questionable way, being bolshy and being out of turn sometimes, and being very vocal about what I wanted. It was quite a lot easier for me to convince my dad that it was the right call, all this stuff. But he's my dad at the end of the day, and as a parent, any parent, you're protective, you care, you want the best for your child, but there's a line, there's an important line, and be it with support or without support, it's important for independence and growth and learning lessons and making mistakes and all of that happens when we're out in the world. You have to be exposed to it to actually deal, and learn and change, and that's what parents are scared of. I think that's what people are so worried about, and when they've been protected for a lifetime, and they're expected to suddenly let go, and of course it's going to be difficult, but you have to do that for the sake of everyone involved, especially the person who is if it's all about. My first sort of instinct is to always talk to and ask questions of the person who it's all about, and that's really important.
That's
You're
no, I was going to say, I think that's such good advice, because I know there's a lot of parents that are kind of, they just have that fear of, I've been with my child for so long, I've had to make decisions for them. And even if their child is non-verbal, they can still express what they want through visuals. But it's just, I think it's being able to let go of that and allow them to have that kind of freedom to just be and just grow, which I think is a bit hard for many.
Yeah, and I think it's important to recognise, where different levels of parenting and support have been in place. So actually, with what you've been talking, with the examples that you were saying, and the impact that the level of care and support needed, and the unfortunate lack of resources through through services that are available, you know, of course there's a huge question mark, and there shouldn't be, you know, over what can be put in place for people who have lots of needs and needs to support and put PAs and all that stuff. It's a lot to coordinate, but it's something to do, and if you can and are willing to do it, that's a good step, and I think that's really important. And like you say, no matter how people communicate, be it through visual stimuli or whatever, it's important to communicate, you know, and to definitely have person-centered and holistic approach to it all. And definitely that is crucial. Person-centered, human-centered approach. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I think you are such an inspiration, and I love just sitting and talking with you like all the time, because I just think your story is amazing, and I think you can inspire and change the views and opinions of so many, be it if they're a parent or if they work in organizations. Like, you just carry on being that light that you are. And I just want to say thank you for this conversation.
I mean, I will, you know, I think it's all sounding quite positive from my end, and I just want to bring like one story perhaps to put a team before we finish, just to represent how it has been difficult for me. It's not, you know, right, because I think I've forgotten to say that is not easy. So I will just, like, if you don't mind, yeah. Sorry. So I was very unconfident at school. Not unconfident person, but unconfident at school, and didn't really have a huge friendship group. So yeah, it took a while. It took a while to get to fit in into life, you know. And I approached my drama teacher about doing drama for GCSE and to improve my confidence, to get, you know, that from, you know, and I went to her, and it was in an auditorium with other teachers, and it was a parent evening, you know, standard parent evening, with 200 of my peers and all my teachers, and then I approached my drama teacher and said what I wanted to do. Immediately, she retorted, "But you can't speak, Sarah." And my dad was like next to me, about to blow, you know. I was very, you know, my voice is my least confident aspect of myself, and I really didn't like it at all. But when someone who's supposed to be that inspiring, you know, encouraging teacher say that as a first retort to someone who is in my position, that knocked me for six, like, and completely destroyed any shred of confidence I had. I had to completely rebuild my confidence there, and that still stays with me. That comment still is in the back of my mind a lot, and has had a huge impact on my entire life and my entire working life, my friendships, my dating. I have a husband now, but it's sort of like, it's not easy, and it's really tough, and there are challenges, and there are obstacles, and there are really shit times when I'm able to learn it. There are really awful times, but there are those moments of you know, excellence that are just waiting for you there, and that's, you know, it's a mixture, it's a mixed bag, it's not easy, but it's worth it, and it's life, and it's definitely worthwhile pursuing. So thank you so much.